It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is The Focus Group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Welcome to The Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. Find us every Wednesday from 1 to 2 live here on YouTube or Facebook, or our audio stream is always available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. We're pretty much everywhere. In fact, just go to focusgroupradio.com and you'll find out everything you need to know about us there, including all our audio and video streams, which you can subscribe to through multiple platforms. So here we are in the week between Christmas and New Year's, the official holiday season, right?
Yeah, well, it's old school because our studio where we do the broadcast version or the TV version, I guess as we call it, where people could see us visually, is closed for the 2 weeks. But we decided to put out some new content and doing it old school with just our audio, like back in the day on satellite platform.
Actually, I've been thinking about that a lot because we got some notes from people who had watched or probably listened to the show we did the week before Christmas, and that was where you brought up that International Mail catalog documentary that they're doing a crowdsourcing for. So one of our listeners, Billy, who calls the show often, sent us a very fun note saying, made him smile and laugh because he still has some clothing that he bought from the International Mail catalog years ago. I think everybody probably does if you got that catalog.
Well, I have
right?
that onesie I said that was in the plastic bag that I'm glad you step in. And I'm going to bring and make Garrett put on. So if you're a fan of this show in the new year, maybe he'll put it on and model on camera. I can't imagine. He would, though. I bet he would. I bet Garrett would.
Garrett is shameless.
Yeah.
He'll do it, and he'll do it for the right reasons, for a good laugh. So for today's, we're doing a very short little broadcast today just to bring you some holiday cheer. And we broke it down into a couple of thoughts. And I think it was basically two ideas, right? Some favorite traditions and also some gift-giving ideas or things that we've done in the past with gifts.
Right.
So I actually thought the tradition thing, I had to think about it. So I was writing notes to myself last night, and I had to think about, what are my favorite holiday traditions? Do I even have them? And I guess I do. So before I'll let you start that part.
Well, I struggled with it as well, and I don't think I have any traditions, and maybe not having any traditions is a tradition. Ha, ha, ha. But I would say that probably one of my favorites, or one of the things that I've consistently done when I thought about it was, and you were part of it too for a certain amount of time, but for 35 plus years, might even be 40 years, I would go on Christmas night to the Candido's house, our friend Marianne's house and her parents in Connecticut, and for Christmas night. And it became a thing, and I've done it all through college, after college. They live in the same town as my parents, so I'd be home for Christmas, and I would always go over Christmas night and have cookies and an eggnog with the family. And I was trying to figure out, I don't think I missed one since 1980 or 1981. And so that was the one tradition that I always looked forward to and continued to do. But other traditions, I really kind of scratched my head. I didn't know if...
I think that's a great tradition, by the way. And I would say that I was able to do that maybe 75% of the time because I wasn't always in Connecticut right. for Christmas. But if I was, you and I would coordinate, and we would meet at Marianne's house, and we would have, her mom specifically had plates of cookies. She allowed us to have whatever we wanted, and she loved seeing us. And it was in a real poignant moment, the year Marianne's dad passed away, actually, and I passed away on Christmas Day.
Yes,
right? It was
on the
Christmas
morning.
Eve or Christmas Day, and we still went to the house for Christmas Day, and we had a great time visiting with Mrs. C, even though it was such a tragic thing. She did bring out photo albums, and Christmas was up, and we had cookies. It wasn't the same, obviously, but I think it was nice to be there for her.
It was, and what was somewhat odd about it, I thought, was it was the tradition kept going, and I'm sure her dad probably would have loved the fact that we were there. And yeah, it was. It was. I remember you being there with us, and we're laughing at the photo albums because there were some where she'd cut people's faces out she didn't like, which I just thought was hilarious. But
My favorite. Yeah, that's it. Tim's referring to the fact that we turned a page once and there's this picture. It's actually her and her husband that had been moved together because she cut out the person in the middle, literally with a pair of scissors, cut him out. And she would laughingly say, I thought this was a great picture of me and Mr. C, but I didn't like that. I don't know who that other person was.
she cut them out with scissors and pasted it together.
We loved it, yeah. So I actually jotted down a couple of things that I think are semi-traditional for me. And I thank you for bringing up that one because that was a classic one that I think was a very special part of our Christmas. For me, one tradition is getting to watch Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Usually on ABC. I would prefer to watch it broadcast versus a DVD because there's something about the broadcast experience. I feel it's live, even though it's kind of not. Another one that I have found to be true of this time of year is catching up with people I haven't seen in months. The schedules kind of coalesce around that dead time. As business slows down the week before Christmas, I get to see a whole bunch of friends for coffee, tea, or a cocktail or something. And so that's something I look forward to. And over the last 6 or 7 years, when they changed the Star Wars release schedule, every other year I was guaranteed a Star Wars day, and that happened recently with the release of The Rise of Skywalker. So now I associate Star Wars with Christmas as opposed to the summer.
The movie release.
And I had one last one that I just kind of jotted down and put a smile on. Years ago, Bob got me this a toy, and it's the Snow Bumble from from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Whenever I see the Snow Bumble anywhere he's at, that says Christmas. And more than anything else, that stupid Snow Bumble, the abominable, the with the blue face and the white fur, he says Christmas. So those are some traditions that I thought were kind of fun.
There are some new ones that, with my friends in Rehoboth, they've started hosting, Mark and Carl, you know them, they host a holiday dinner, which I've been to probably the last 3 years or so, and that's become, I would guess, maybe a new tradition, but a lot of fun. And I like doing that exactly as you said. It's a time to gather with friends and have a great meal or catch up with somebody that you promised you were going to do all year. And to me, that's more of a gift than exchanging something. But just spending time with people or time with friends, I think is a great thing. I do miss our Christmas parties we used to have at Sirius XM that we used to throw. We probably threw the best Christmas party at the station, I would guess.
Oh my God! Well, we had cookies and catering and Manhattans and a live studio band. We had a Michael Cataldi, right?
Michael Richard Kelly Cataldi. We had Santa hats being made. We had gift bags. It was a lot of fun, and all our past guests from the year were invited as well as clients, and it was always a lot of fun. Always a good time. So do you and so the other thing we wanted to talk about was gifting, and you and I both kind of put a big X over gifting to a certain extent. But
oh yeah, you better believe that. Yeah.
But it was funny. Our producer Matt Bogart, who many of you know, suggested that maybe you and I talk about gifting or gift guides or what we would do and give one another. And the first one he asked about a spouse or a significant other. And do you and Bob exchange gifts at Christmas?
We stopped years and years ago. Okay, so if I go back when Bob and I were first seeing each other, he was the best gift giver, bar none.
Really?
I always got the best. Oh my God! The very first time I ever got a portable CD player, a Discman, was from Bob.
Wow!
I was like, "Ooh, Bob John got me." So yeah, I got great gifts, but eventually we decided it was just too much to deal with, and it really wasn't even doing us anything. I mean, we were beyond the impressing someone when you're dating point, or like that whole thing, and it was like, what a waste of money. Let's just go out to dinner or something. So that we stopped many years ago personally, and I've never been happier with that one. But in general, like we had a little list, so it was Matt sent us a list like what would you give a spouse, a colleague, a relative you don't see too often, or Tim or John. So for me, I put down spouse. Lately, like for Christmas, no, but for birthdays and stuff, I think it's really fun to give. Like, I think a gift card is the easiest thing for an adult in the world. In fact, I was watching ads for Macy's and all these other things on TV about sweaters and scarves. And, the hardest thing in the world is to buy someone else an item of clothing, unless you really, really know what they want and wear and their size. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, but I will say that I have in the past, if I was with them and there was a really nice, I could think of a couple of occasions where when I was with somebody and there was a jacket they may have wanted that was probably more money than they wanted to spend, or a sweater or something. But as long as they could try it on, that I would do that as a gift. But otherwise, I'm with you as you and Bob are, and don't do the gift giving, because if you see something, say you saw something in June, you thought, what, Bob would love this. You buy it then and you give it to him then. I think it has more meaning at that time than the pressure of doing it just at Christmas. You probably give each other things all year long.
We do. And one thing I have down here is something we did for Bob's birthday last year, which I still think was one of the best things we did. We did a 4-day trip to London to visit friends for his birthday, which falls the beginning of December, actually. So it's kind of almost like Christmas. And I thought, you know what? These are fun gifts. Let's go somewhere. And this year, what I'd like to do, and this is part of our like Christmas to each other, but we're going to celebrate it whenever we can, is we've decided to go try to see the Pet Shop Boys in some European city.
Oh,
right?
That would be fun.
I don't know when they're coming to the U.S., but I thought, what if you went to Amsterdam, or what if you went? And so it becomes a visit to a city, a concert by the Pet Shop Boys. That's your excuse for going. And then you fly home. So I like that one.
Experiential.
Experiential, yeah. So the next on the list was, what would you get a colleague? Nowadays, I put gift card in red. Gift card. Then I put or something funny. And the something funny thing, you have to know who they are, if they like South Park or Futurama. Like, you know what I mean? There are humorous things you could do for somebody that would be a lot of fun. Bob recently gave coworkers of his I guess it's like a martini kit. So he bought these special mugs that stay cold. He bought stainless steel ice cubes that you put in the freezer, and they act as ice cubes, and they retain the cold. Everybody got the little airline size bottle of Tanqueray, and everybody got like a 4-pack of Q tonic, and he put it in a little basket. So it was like a kit for making a cocktail, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I usually give people if I know they like wine, a nice bottle of wine or liquor. I used to do great candles, because that was another extravagance if somebody might like a candle, but candles can be expensive. Although somebody told me that wasn't a good gift. That was me telling them their house stunk, which I didn't think that was. I didn't think that was the case of me giving somebody a nice candle. But the other thing I've done is I used to give vintage sort of Christmas things, like the bubble light night lights or the chocolate orange balls that.
Terry's chocolate, yeah, the one you hit them and then they break into little slices.
Right.
Right?
And then the other thing, and I know we do this with some of our clients, was LL Bean Reese. Again, a nice gift to give somebody that celebrates Christmas, and it's something that they may spend on themselves, but it's always nice to get a wreath, because sometimes you don't have time to go out and get it, or I just think it's always a good gift. And I learned from you not to give things where people feel obligated they got to keep them, right? A wreath, you use it, you throw it away. Or a piece of food item or a liquor, and it gets used and consumed, and then it's not something you need to have around the house.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. I thank you for acknowledging that rule that I try to enforce. So another item that Matt said would be fun to talk about was getting a gift item for a relative that you don't know that well, you don't see that often. I just put a huge question mark, and then I put next to it, drawing a blank. Isn't seeing me enough?
Well, I said, if I don't know them, I'm probably not going to see them if I don't know them well. So I laughed about that one too. But I do remember being invited to a party of a relative that I thought it was nice. And again, didn't know what to exactly do. And I wavered between a couple of pounds of really nice coffee, like a Peet's coffee or a Starbucks ground coffee, the Christmas blend. And you bring that in a bag, and people can always use coffee, whether they drink it or not. People at the house might want coffee. But one year I did this because I copied it off of Williams-Sonoma. I got really nice glass cookie jars. and I put peppermint sticks in them, and red ribbon around it, and people thought it was $1,000,000, and it was just a nice thing that somebody could put out for the holiday, and I thought it was a nice hostess sort of gift. I used to always back in the day also give the Ella Fitzgerald "Have Yourself a Swinging Christmas" CD, but since no one has CD players anymore, I kind of stopped that. But that was always an appreciative gift too, kind of the gift of music along with some sort of candy.
I would say to any of our listeners, take note of what you just said. The jar with the anything in it. In this case, it was peppermint sticks. Simple, simple, simple. Or a music gift like the Ella Swingin' Christmas. Thank you for reminding me of either of those. We were at our friend Barbara's down the hall from us in our building, and we were having a pre-Christmas get-together. We went to look at her tree and had some appetizers and a cocktail, some champagne at her place. And while we were there, she said, "Hey, John, you once offered to help me with electronic stuff." She said, "I would like to start listening to my CDs again. I don't mind streaming music, but sometimes I want to hear something very specific." We studied and puzzled this problem, puzzled it out for a little while, and realized that there's going to be a time when you're not even going to be able to listen to a CD unless you have the player, the amplifier hooked into the, you know what I'm getting at. There's more than just popping it in. So I think that giving the gift of music like a CD is brilliant. Nowadays, I guess you have to figure out a way to do it so someone could download it or something, right?
Well,
or
the CD player, and that's the thing because a CD does sound so much better than something streamed. You put a CD on through an audio system, and
stereo,
stereo, and it's great and uninterrupted, and it's not going to lose its stream or whatever, or its connection. But yeah, I was thinking about that too, because you, like me, probably have record albums that are stored somewhere, and we don't play them. And I have CDs that are stored somewhere now that I don't really play. And if I had a CD player, which I probably do in the basement, but it takes up space. So
it takes up space.
And then the last thing was what we would get each other, and this goes back to what you mentioned earlier. And I've learned from you that you being a minimalist, which is one thing I do like about you. You're very cognizant of not having clutter around, unlike me, who sometimes thrives on clutter. But it was like, what would I get John? And I always try to find something dark chocolate or maybe a unique food item that I think you would appreciate. Or I have done some candle things in the past, certain types of candles that I know you and Bob like, that if I see them, I'll pick up. But for you, I learned it's got to be consumable because it's not going to stay around. So that's what I viewed for you as something to give.
I didn't. I left so I wrote down on my notes. I thought Tim, and I did dash, and I wrote sculpture or something cool / art related. And I say that because I would defer to give you a food gift or something you really appreciated that you could use right away. A bottle of wine, you do like a good bottle of wine. It doesn't have to be crazy expensive, but it has to be something that has a good flavor or a pedigree to it or something. But then I thought, because of how you've decorated and your style, I thought it would be fun to find something that would be unique and kind of like, I don't know. The reason I put sculpture down because I was thinking of like a bust of a president, like something that sits on it. Like if you found a bust of Ben Franklin that was not too big that could sit on your desk, like a little desk ornament kind of thing. That says a lot because you love Ben Franklin, and so that would be the kind of thing. But that would be, you'd have to find that in like a flea market or an antique shop or something. You'd have to really look for that, and you have to keep your eyes
something
peeled.
to stumble
so I think
along
that's
through
an all year. Yeah, I think that's an all year task, is to keep your eyes peeled for something for Tim.
No, that's a great one. And over the years, you've given me some really nice art pieces. I have hanging in my office a cover from a magazine, a rowing cover that was vintage from, I believe, Collier's. And there's some other artwork over the years that you've given me that I have out. So that's a good thoughtful gift. So thank you for that. I'm trying to think, was there anyone else we need to get gifts for? I sometimes get gifts for people's pets. I think people appreciate that
Pets
too.
are great. Pets and kids, by the way, a kid, you can't go wrong. If it's a puzzle, most kids are going to like anything that they could open and play with.
Right.
And I agree, having stuff like that around is always very useful. But yeah, that's our that pretty much rounds up what we wanted to talk to on this brief week of Christmas show.
Yeah, so we hope you all had a Merry Christmas, and we know you'll be celebrating with family and friends probably all week, as well as Happy Hanukkah, which is falling in the same time. And then, of course, we're heading towards New Year's, which some people call a made-up holiday, but it is a certain mark in time. And we will also have a new content for a New Year's show, which will be released next week as well. So look for that on our Facebook page, which is focusgroupradio.com, or through SoundCloud and all the other media that John mentioned. If you go to focusgroupradio.com, you'll find all of our media platforms there for all of our programming. Thanks to all of you that continue listening as we go into 2020, John. I think we're in our 13th year. Is it 13th or 12th? I got to go.
Yeah,
look.
it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
So thanks for all of you. I know many of you have been with us since the beginning, and we appreciate it. We hope you have a great holiday season, and we'll see you next week.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.